The time is now 7 o'clock.
A recently celebrity suspected DUI case has brought a lot of public attention in terms of drinking and driving. And this is an issue that enrages many people, but the laws are slow in catching up. Another issue that has surfaced, aiding and abetting in DUI evasion, as friends and family may try to help the driver not get charged by pretending maybe that they were behind the wheel. You know, we definitely need some changes in how judges, lawmakers, and the drivers themselves, and even their friends and family, treat these DUIs. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Tuesday, June 25th on befm, 부산영어방송. Good morning, listeners. Welcome to our program. It is, Tuesday already. You know, today's main topic, it's kind of unpleasant, I have to debate, but something that we have to talk about given what's been happening recently here in Korea. We're talking about drunk driving. So last week, the singer Kim Ho-jun was indicted on a variety of charges related to his drunk driving, hit and run, and allegedly having his manager turn himself in as the driver. But despite Kim having admitted to having consumed alcohol before taking the wheel, the prosecution did not apply drunk driving charges, citing a lack of evidence as Kim's breathalyzer test was taken 17 hours after the accident. Let's put the legalities aside. You know, generally speaking, many people very angry. And some say, you know, the authorities basically gave the public a handbook on how not to get charged with a DUI. And yes, the sarcasm, we can feel it. It's palpable. A similar case happened with a man in his 50s in Incheon who committed, drinking and driving, hit another driver, and then took off. And that was his third DUI case. But his old childhood friend pretended to be the driver at hand. And this case, very similar to the Kim Ho-jun case, and as the prosecution couldn't actually charge the driver himself for the DUI. But the driver was sentenced to a year and 2 months for the hit and run, and the friend was also sentenced to 2 years probation. Some people really get into kind of through thick and thin mentality. I mean, yes, I definitely get it. You want to protect your friends and family, but at what cost? And for drunk driving, DUI, I don't think we should be sticking our necks out for people who are putting the lives of other people on the line, risking other people's welfare, and just morally, this is so wrong. Yes, we have to remember what is right before we, go to the whole let's stick together kind of mentality. All right, for our text topic, here we go. Summer is here, and there are some items that are not fashionable, but they are great at helping you stay cool, or at least cooler, not as hot. So what cooling items do you use? Or maybe you've thought about, but you're a little embarrassed to use maybe. Some, examples like, visors or kind of like the 180 sun caps, you know which ones I'm talking about. Or maybe using a really pretty parasol. Maybe you already use them. Maybe you choose clothing or attire depending on the kind of the cooling, fabric. Though I can't say any brand names, but the type of material where, you sweat and then like the sweat like evaporates real quickly. That type of gear. 자, 여름을 나가기 위해 패셔너블 하지는 않지만 내가 쓰는 혹은 쓰려고 생각은 했을까? 저도 몇 개 있어요. 살짝 생각하면 이건 좀 부끄러울 것 같은데 하지만 너무 덥잖아요. It's so hot, right? So maybe all those items that you use or have thought about using, or maybe you saw somebody else. 다른 사람이 하고 있는 걸 봤는데 그거 한번 해볼까? Whether it's a sun캡, 양산, 인견, 모시옷, anything along those lines, let us know. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. By the way, when you go to YouTube, what you can do is type in BEFM or 부산영어방송, and yes, press subscribe and the alert also, so to let you know when our program is on, so you can check us out on YouTube. And by the way, you can watch us live, like right now. You can chat with us, or you can watch later at your leisure. We also have the pound 9050. You can send in a message that will cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free through Kakao Talk. Also through the Kakao Talk channel, you got to type in BEFM or 부산영어방송. We also have the Papang app, by the way, if you want to listen later. Looking ahead to our morning, let's check it out. We have Andrew with Sports Insider, and then we have Mindy with The Health. For our special interview, we're going to be tackling heat stress. I probably have, you probably remember, we talked about, for example, the pilgrimage of Hajj in Saudi Arabia, with more than 1,300 people dying in the heat wave and other associated illnesses. So what do we need to know about heat stress? Because this could be deadly for some people. Let's find out. That's coming up in hour number 2. And I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:06, and these are today's headlines. At least 22 dead in battery plant fire. At least 22 people, including 24 nationals, were confirmed dead in the Parasol lithium battery plant fire in Hwasong yesterday, in what is likely the worst chemical accident in the country. North Korea sends trash balloons to South Korea again. North Korea yesterday sent balloons presumed to be carrying trash across the border for the 5th time since last month, said the Joint Chiefs of Staff. KMA steps back from walkout plan. The Korean Medical Association, or KMA, has announced that it will hold off on collective action scheduled for June 27th. National Assembly Speaker calls for constitutional amendment. National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik declared that now is the best time to push for a constitutional amendment for a possible 2-term, 4-year presidency. EU accuses Apple of violating major digital law. Apple has become the first company to be charged with breaching the European Union's Digital Markets Act and faces a fine of up to 10% of its worldwide revenue. And these are today's headlines. It is time for us to check in with Haley. This is Busan Updates. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. So, first of all, I need to ask you about our text topic. So, what do you use to kind of keep cool? Or maybe you've seen certain things and you've thought about getting that item and you just
want a
can't do it.
visor.
Like
I want a
the 180,
like the
one that flips down.
The flip, but the flip makes you look like a robot. But yeah, I want to go out and just cover everything.
You want to, but
I want to, but I mean,
but
you know, I mean, I just, I still have, an iota of like shame, maybe
and
like
vanity.
Self-conscious, vanity, self-consciousness. I do wear sunglasses, and I also, oh my godsend, 냉장고 바지. So-called refrigerator pants. So these are polyethylene pants, and they help you stay cool. And I wear them to the gym, and they have like these fancy, crazy patterns. But I found ones with no pattern. They're just black.
Oh,
they're
those
just
are okay.
black, and I bought them a pair online, it's like 5,000 won. It's like $4. So I bought like 3 pairs, and those are my gym pants.
Oh, I need photos.
Yeah.
I need photos.
I look super fashionable.
I only wear them at home.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I forget I'm in them, and then I go to
Right, because it feels like you're not
store,
wearing
and I'm like,
anything.
and then I have to come back
please.
home.
It's as long as you're within like your same tong, I think it's fine.
You're okay?
Yeah.
All right. Let's dive into our first update. We're going to first talk about the UN Peace Center construction in Busan. It's really starting to take off, right?
It is. And of course, today being the anniversary of the Korean War, this is very pertinent. So Busan City announced that it's holding a presentation to launch the contract research to set up the basic plans as well as the feasibility of the UN Global Peace Center in Namgu District. So this is a major starting step to turn the general areas that would be Daeyeondong number 4 and Yongdang as kind of a peace district.
Right.
So the plan right now, of course, we have the famous UN cemetery, but turning that into a peace park of a global scale that would span across 640,000 square meters. So the center itself will be a 4-story building with offices, a library, and this is particularly important, lodging. So where people, families of veterans from abroad can stay or even domestic visitors.
Sure.
And this is especially important because if you think to Korean War veterans, their spouses, even their children, many of these overseas families of veterans are older themselves. So
yes.
my grandfather, of course, Korean, but he was a Korean War veteran. He passed, but he would be 92 at this year. So they really it's hard for them to travel far to Korea in the first place, but even within Busan, because most hotels in Busan, accommodations would be either in Haeundae or Busan Jin district.
Sure.
So even just that like half an hour to hour drive could be taxing on them.
Of course.
Right. So having that hotel or a facility right there would be really nice. So the area will also have a comprehensive culture area encompassing the Busan Culture Center and the Busan Museum, and also seek to bringing more businesses and foot traffic to the 유엔평화로, so the road in general.
Yes. This project actually has a full backing, I hear, of the Patriots and Veterans Affairs Ministry, right?
It does. So the Patriots and Veterans Ministry was actually the one that came forward 2 years ago to launch research on this park or the center and made the request to the city as well.
Sure.
So once this contract research is completed next February, the government will have to go through the necessary land compensation process and break ground on construction by 2027, and that's the goal.
Yes. So it sounds far off, but when you think about it, not that far off, right? Just a couple years down the line. So tomorrow, next topic, is the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. So we need to know, what is our city doing about this?
Right. So it's not just one day tomorrow, but the entire week. Right now, we are in the Drug Abuse Damage Prevention Week.
Okay.
And the city is holding multiple events to really raise awareness about the dangers of drug use, especially pertinent this time. Right.
Yes.
So tomorrow there will be an awareness campaign in and around Yangjong Station on Subway Line 1. And also on Thursday, that would be June 27th, the city's education office will hold a symposium on teenage drug use and also prevention. And it'll cover topics ranging from why teens themselves are vulnerable to addiction, not just drugs, but how their brains and hormones are wired that way right now.
Sure.
The psychology behind teens seeking drugs and other relevant topics. And actually, teenage drug use has become a very serious social issue recently. So the city will focus its preventive programs on this topic for this year. And there will also be a public contest, or there is contest going on contents to deter drug use, and it is ongoing, and entries are due by the end of July.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's something that we need to be educated on, and I hope there are also like rehab measures that are put into place as well. Actually, as a testament as to why we do need these campaigns, the local authorities made a drug bust recently.
They did. So the Busan Customs Office busted a Vietnamese drug operation that allegedly smuggled in drugs in fake flowers.
Fake flowers.
So the group of these 4 people, they're suspected of having allegedly smuggled in 46 vials of synthetic marijuana and 59 abortion pills. And they hit the substances, as you can see on our YouTube, inside these fake flowers and mail them into the country. So the group then took orders on social media, allegedly selling the substances in cities like Daegu, Changwon, and Sejong. The buyers are all said to be Vietnamese nationals as well. So the suspects originally entered the country on international student visas, but they've overstayed their visas and are currently at undocumented status. And so the two of the distributors are currently under the prosecution's custody. The authorities have requested an Interpol cooperation for the main supplier in Vietnam, and the authorities are still searching for the main supplier who operates out of Sejong City. So an official from Busan Customs said that some international students are using drug smuggling and sales as kind of an easy way to make money, and that the customs officers and, of course, the authorities overall will chase down all of these cases in order to uproot drug use in Busan.
Ah, definitely. All right, for our final bit, vacation season, it's coming up soon, and Busan City is holding a special kind of check. They're checking things out ahead of this, right?
Right, because we need things like, sanitation and also price control. So Busan City is running a special kind of a rip-off or overcharging crackdown and tourism check period between July 1st and the 15th. And they'll work with the city's tourism association and local governments. So it's going to go across 7 beaches, the airport, the train station, and major subway stations and bus terminals, along with larger traditional markets. So the city has formed a team of tourism interpreters, cultural docents, and university students. So they'll check for things like how accessible is public transportation to non-Korean speakers, what kind of foreign language services they offer, and are there public bathrooms available, and how clean they are.
Okay.
Also, form a team of local government special crackdown team. They'll look at major tourism attractions for upkeep and maintenance, and Busan City itself will send officials to crack down against overcharging.
Oh, that's important too, though,
absolutely.
because we don't want our, tourists to be ripped off. So.
Exactly. And I have seen so many I hear English all the time on subways. And I mean, of course, other languages that I don't really recognize or understand. And we want them to come back. We want them to form a good impression of Busan.
Yes.
And returning tourists are also a very important part of the industry.
Indeed. Thanks for the updates, Haley. Back to you, the listeners, for our text topic. So today we're talking about the fact that it's really hot, it's muggy, and there are certain items that are... they're not fashionable. Let's face it. However, it might be necessary to survive during the heat. So what kind of items do you use to keep cool or cool down, protect you from the hot, hot sun? And while you think about that, here is your traffic and weather. It is now 7:17. Here's your traffic and weather. It is looking slow from Hwangyong Tunnel to Hwangyong Ramp on the Dongso Overpass. Also, a bit of congestion on Baekyan Gwanmuro from the intersection right before the Baekyan Tunnel. And so just keep that in mind. Back up on the Luno Samsungdae from Byungho intersection to Shinho Bridge. As for the weather, it's 23 already under partly cloudy skies. Although here in Centum, I do see a nice bit of sun right now. The sun will continue to stay with us in the afternoon with a daytime high of 29 degrees. So we are getting a welcome break from the stifling heat. It is still hot though, as nationwide temperatures will kind of hover below 30 degrees today. Those in northern Gyeonggi and Jeju may see light rain in the afternoon. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for News Digest, and Haley's still with us. This first story, I have to say, oh my gosh, this is a disaster, horrific, such a terrible story. This massive fire at a battery plant that killed over 20 people.
Right, so we're talking about that fire that broke out of Aerocel's plant in Hwasong, Gyeonggi province yesterday morning.
Yes.
So the initial casualty count actually was fairly low at 1 dead and 6 injured, but after the main blaze was extinguished in the afternoon and the search and rescue workers went in, the fatality count just snowballed. So
Right.
firefighters found about 20 bodies inside, 22 confirmed dead now. They're suspected to belong to the 23 workers that are classified as missing. So the fire authorities said that 20 of the workers, the bodies found of the missing workers, are foreign nationals and the rest Korean. So the government convened an emergency meeting of the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures Headquarters yesterday, and in the evening time, President Yoon Suk-yeol visited the plant where he told the Interior Minister and the firefighting authorities to mobilize all available personnel and equipment for the search and rescue survivors.
Right. So first and foremost, our thoughts and prayers are with those affected, the family members, the condolences, of course. But do we know what caused the fire?
Right. So a joint inspection will take place later today. The authorities are still looking into the exact cause of the fire. So we're going off of witness statements right now. But one witness who escaped from the second floor of the plant told the fire station that an explosive combustion took place with one battery cell at the time of the fire.
Okay.
However, that fire spread rapidly across the battery cells inside, and they exploded continuously, which made it difficult for, number one, people to escape, and two, rescuers to go inside and search.
Right. And of course, if you are watching through our YouTube feed, you can see the devastation, the extent of the smoke, and of course, the fire extinguishing efforts as well by the firefighters, right? Yes. And so the nature of this plant, I think, according to the authorities, really made the fire difficult to put out. Is that correct?
Right. So Aerocell is a lithium battery manufacturing plant. It's a primary battery, so basically ones that we see in grocery stores that's used for smart grids and smart meters.
Yes.
There were at least 35,000 batteries that were believed to be inside that plant. So the thing about battery fires with lithium, it's that they're not very easily extinguished as we would see with normal fires using conventional methods. Because even if you put out the kind of the superficial fire that you see on the surface of something, inside the battery, the temperature apparently can reach up to 1,000 degrees Celsius. So even the tiniest trigger can combust into a fire once again.
Yes.
So the batteries, we do need to distinguish this. The batteries created inside Aerocell, they're lithium batteries, primary batteries, 1차전지, not lithium ion, which are secondary batteries that we're kind of familiar with the electric vehicle fire. So they are
it's not
different. They're of different nature. So the lithium, the primary batteries, they do have a lower risk of fire than lithium ion. But lithium itself is very reactive to oxygen and heat. Apparently, lithium is, however, classified as a regular chemical substance due to the relatively low chance of fires. So that means, though, there are no separate manuals or safety standards for lithium fires. But then we did see yesterday, although they have a lower likelihood of catching on fire, but once they do catch on fire, it leads to a series of combustions and explosions. So the authorities said yesterday the fire itself was put out with water because it was confirmed that there were only trace amounts of lithium in the batteries. So the firefighters followed the manual and felt that it was safe to approach with water. However, if there are higher proportions of lithium inside a fire, you actually cannot use water and you need to use dry sand and apparently nitrogen to extinguish those fires.
Yes, hence so many explosions. And if you can see our feed once again, the plumes of really, really dark clouds because of the smoke, the nature of the fire itself once again. So tragic
It does
incident.
take, unfortunately, these tragedies and, these cases to come up with prevention measures and countermeasures. And, we can only hope that we can become safer after this.
Yes. All right, on to our next story. After much turmoil, the parties have finalized the parliamentary committee and I guess the respective leadership of these committees.
Right, so that comes days after the legal deadline, but it's finally here.
Yes.
So maybe this is the first act of bipartisan, I don't want to say cooperation, but at least compromise. The People Power Party accepted the opposition Democratic Party's parliamentary committee chairmanship breakdowns or designations.
Okay.
So earlier this month, as you remember, the Democratic Party unilaterally opened the 22nd 72nd National Assembly
Yes.
under the ruling party's boycott. And then the opposition party, took the chairpersonship for 11 committees, including the key legislative and judiciary committee, as well as the steering committee.
Yes.
It then pressured the ruling PPP to basically take the rest, just take it as we give to you.
Right.
Or else we'll just take all of them. So we'll have leadership over all committees. So there was a lot of back and forth that I won't get into, but yesterday the PPP's floor leader Chu Kyung-ho accepted the 7 positions. These are the parliamentary committees for diplomacy, defense, finance and economy, governance, gender family, trade and SMEs, and information. So the chairmanships or chairpersonships themselves will be voted on during the floor session later this week. So this completes the parliamentary committee makeup. It comes 25 days after the 22nd National Assembly's launched, 17 days past the legal deadline. And then after this, floor leader Chu Kyung-ho actually issued a public statement condemning the Democratic Party and actually said that he will resign as the floor leader, taking responsibility for not being able to take either one of the key judiciary or steering committee positions.
Well, as this is going on, the respective parties, the major parties, chairperson elections, well, they're underway right now.
Right, so we are under another election season for
Yes.
the political parties. And the Democratic Party's chairman, Lee Jae-myung, he stepped down from his position yesterday. And this is a move that widely hints at he will run for his second term. But he, however, did not declare his bid yesterday, saying that the decision will come soon. But the resignation was for the party to freely arrange its situation and get ready for the national convention without his shadow.
I see.
And he stated that he has to make a decision for the entire country and the party. Anyways, with his resignation, the floor leader Park Chan-dae will act as an interim leader.
Well, that's what's going on there. Going to the ruling People Power parties, their chairperson election, it's heating up.
Right, so this is a 4-person race, at least for the time being.
Okay.
So the PPP, we're looking at the former de facto leader Han Dong-hun, sitting lawmakers Na Kyung-won and Yoon Sang-hyun, and finally former land minister Won Hee-ryong. So they have about a month of campaigning, and it kicked off yesterday. So they've been making contact with lawmakers for their endorsement. All 4 were at this gathering of freshman lawmakers at the National Assembly yesterday. And the common target for these 4 candidates was Lee Jae-myung, their rival, with all 4 mentioning the so-called the judicial risk involving Lee as he faces multiple criminal charges, discussing the legality and the ethics of that issue.
I see. So a lot going on the political front within their own parties and in parliament. Moving on, though, there are now more benefits of shopping at a traditional market?
Yes. So recently I went to, I think, Gwangan Traditional Market. I was getting some gifts for friends. It's so fun, and things are so cheap. I mean, I came out with my hands full, and my wallet relatively the same level as I went in. So the ministry,
Definitely
right, the Ministry of SMEs and Startups, they're currently working on, so not confirmed, but working on revising the ordinances of Traditional Market Act to expand tax breaks and benefits for shopping at traditional markets.
Nice.
So first with onnuri gift certificates, that's a public gift certificate. The government is looking to vastly expand where you can use these gift certificates. Right now, they're fairly limited to traditional markets, but and then there are restrictions over alcohol, cigarettes, and singing rooms. However, the government is kind of looking to just put exceptions for nightlife establishments and let you pretty much use that wherever. Also, there will be expansions to tax breaks, tax exemption rates for using your credit card at traditional markets. Right now, that's set at 40%. They're looking to expand that to 80%.
That's significant.
Yeah.
Yes. But there are some issues that the government and small business owners, they don't quite see eye to eye on.
Right. So now we're moving on to small businesses, not traditional markets. So
Yes.
소상공인. So the small business associations had been calling for a different electricity rate applied to them in a separate category and an exemption rate for taxes for small businesses card usage.
Okay.
So the Small Businesses Association, they had been calling for this in the face of rising utility costs. The Energy Ministry said, however, that there is a fairness issue to be had with just small businesses getting a different electricity rate bracket. And also, of course, that lingering KEPCO, the Korea Electric and Power Corporation's massive deficit to consider.
Right, right. So So this is, there's some changes that might be coming to traditional markets, and that will definitely affect consumers. We'll keep an eye on all of this, of course. Thanks for reporting on the news, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, we are due for our first song break, so here it is. This is I Feel It Coming by The Weeknd and Daft Punk.
Tell me what you really like. Baby, I can take my time. We don't ever have to fight. Just take it step by step. I can see it in your eyes, 'cause they never tell me lies. I can feel that body shake and the heat between your legs. You've been scared of love and what it did to you. You don't have to run. I know what you've been through. Just a simple touch and it can set you free. We don't have to rush when you're alone with me. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. You are not the single type, so baby, this the perfect time. I'm just trying to get you high, faded off this touch. You don't need a lonely night, so baby, I can make it right. You just gotta let me try to give you what you want. You've been scared of love and what it did to you. You don't have to run. I know what you've been through. Just a simple touch and it can set you free. We don't have to rush when you're alone with me. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. You've been scared of love and what it did to you. You don't have to run. I know what you've been through. Just a simple touch and it can set you free. We don't have to rush when you're alone with me. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I know what you feel like. Feel it coming. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming, baby. Feel it coming. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I know what you say right there.
Welcome back, everybody. It's now 7:33. You know, we've been talking about this odd pattern we've been seeing in recent DUI cases. Basically, friends or people we're close to stepping in to pretend that they were the driver, the drunk driver, instead of the actual person who was driving drunk, basically covering someone's I can't say the word, but you know what word? Someone's butt, right? Upon the high-profile case that just broke, I'm talking about, for example, that singer. Lawmakers have introduced bills to prevent this or supplement cases where the driver cannot be charged with a DUI. As I told you earlier, for example, if you take a breathalyzer, let's say 17 hours after an incident, obviously you're not going to get a good, accurate reading. So that's the conundrum. Anyhow, the two bills ban one meaning a person from attempting to interfere with a breathalyzer test by drinking more alcohol after he or she is caught. And we know why that bill is on the table. Yes. Also, we have seen a rise in repeat offenders despite the increase in penalties following the enactment of the Yoon Chang-ho Act. I actually drive by that accident site probably 3 to 4 times a week. Every time I pass by or I actually make a right turn at that exact intersection, I think of this young person that passed away, Yoon Chang-ho, thinking, what a waste of a beautiful life because somebody was drunk and got behind the wheel. It's such a tragedy. What's more, there are countries that have explicit punishment clauses on people in the vehicle who let the person get behind the wheel after drinking, which points to a very different social perception in other parts of the world. So we have had these cases of people basically aiding and abetting and getting away with DUIs. It may be time to start thinking about expanding the scope of responsibilities when it comes to drunk driving. And I have to say, once again, here in our lovely country, Korea, we have so many alternatives. So up to a certain time, you can take public transportation. You can call a taxi. We have such a great substitute driver or 대리운전 system. There is no excuse to get behind the wheel if you are intoxicated. I'm going to stop preaching there and let's get to our text topic. All right, summer is here. We can't deny it. And there are certain items that will help you stay cool or cooler. But you know what? They're just not fashionable. They're just like, ugh, I can't do it. I can't wear it. I can't use that. However, maybe you've been thinking about it like, do I give in? What cooling items do you use? Or maybe you've thought about using but haven't gotten there quite yet. For example, like Haley mentioned, you know, like the really, really, really big sun visors that can come down, the retractable ones. Maybe you use parasols. Those are quite popular in Korea. And I have to say they come in such a wide variety of colors and patterns, and many of them are really, really pretty floral ones. I've been gifted one. It's really, really beautiful. I'll be honest, I haven't used it yet. Not yet. I just feel like, I just can't get myself to use it. But you know what? I have used those sleeves, right? When I am out in the sun for like an extended amount of time. It's not because I don't mind getting a tan, but you know, like ticks and like bugs, like if you're in nature, you might get bitten, and then like mosquitoes and stuff. So I've used the sleeves. I'm not ashamed of using those. Let's get your take on what you use to stay cool. We have Williams who says, on really hot days, I choose a bucket hat. Oh, those are nice. Those are fashionable, though. And go to a baseball game with a sold-out stadium because there are so many fans, you'll always stay cool. Ooh, okay, nice. And let's see. Leslie says, I wear a lot of sundresses and Birkenstang. I also have a cute visor I wear. I hate summer, so I spend a lot of time in air-conditioned cafes, bookstores, movie theaters, and museums or art galleries. You're so smart, though. Any place that has AC during the summer, that's where I am. Nice and cool. And I love this one. Tommy, text topic. Don't want to wear shirts. Okay, that's just too vague. Are you talking about in public? 우리는 어떡해요? Well, you got to think of us. You know, I find this so unfair during summer. The guys in my family, they go shirtless in our house. It's like a yearly thing, you know, it's nothing, they think nothing of it. And then what about the females in the house? So we can't go like, you know, shirtless. It's like, you know, it's kind of unfair. Anyhow, that's just my take on staying cool. Here is your hot clip for today. Well, for today's hot clip, I wanted to cover this story. I know it's a few days old, but new details have emerged about this particular DUI. This is about Justin Timberlake. Here is a clip from ABC News.
Justin Timberlake, he spoke about his DWI arrest for the first time.
The Grammy-winning star, also known as the Prince of Pop, having a heart-to-heart with his fans while performing in Chicago. It was his first concert since his arrest.
It's been a tough week.
Justin Timberlake back on stage and breaking his silence after being arrested, accused by police of getting behind the wheel while intoxicated in the Hamptons.
And then sometimes I'm hard to love, but you keep on loving me and I love you. We've been together through ups and downs.
The pop star speaking out to fans in Chicago just days after being charged with a misdemeanor DWI.
New York has strict laws about driving under the influence. So he could be facing a potential loss of his license.
It was last Tuesday that surveillance video captured what appears to be Timberlake's gray BMW just moments before Sag Harbor police say he failed to stop at a stop sign. Investigators say Timberlake told one of their officers, "I had one martini," but they observed his eyes were bloodshot and glassy and that a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage was emanating from his breath. This photo from DailyMail.com showing him handcuffed before he was released by a judge on his own recognizance. The singer, no stranger to controversy. 3 years ago, he apologized after receiving renewed backlash for how he handled the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show wardrobe malfunction involving Janet Jackson. He also publicly offered support for the end of Britney Spears' conservatorship after the singer wrote about their highly publicized breakup in her memoir. Spears' 2011 song titled Criminal seen a spike in streams following Timberlake's arrest.
Justin Timberlake is a pop music superstar. He's an icon. And when you have achieved that level of fame, then people are going to follow to see what it is you do when you're behaving badly.
And Timberlake is in the middle of his Forget Tomorrow World Tour promoting his latest album. His attorney sharing in a statement how he looks forward to vigorously defending Mr. Timberlake on these allegations, guys.
So, in line with what we're talking about today, drunk driving, I was curious as to that one martini that he supposedly had. According to many journalists, they interviewed the bartender that served him the drink. The bartender says, supposedly, it was one drink. What was in that drink? It's what's called a Vesper Martini. And it's not just a regular martini. It's not just like one little shot of, let's say, alcohol or vodka. There's a lot mixed in there. So according to insiders, it's all alcohol. There's no mixer. And hence, you might think of it as a double or even a triple shot, some people say, because it depends on who's making the Vesper Martini. So anyhow, we're going to be following this story because we definitely don't want to hear about these types of cases. And he did refuse the breathalyzer, which he is legally allowed to do. This was your hot clip for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for Andrew, aka the Sports Insider. How are you?
Good. No race car driving on today's agenda.
No. What is that?
The logo?
Yeah,
it's a Boston Red Sox.
Oh, is that what?
It's a Boston Red Sox sports show. Boston Red Sox.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I'm a Sox
I was
fan,
wondering.
so-
I was like, they look like socks.
Come on now.
Interesting.
Oh, cat. Oh, my.
All right. So, text topic. How do you
Sure.
stay cool? Do you use the visors?
I look
do you
like
use
this.
Do you use the
I'm cool.
parasols?
I'm just cool.
You're just
all
cool
right?
like that.
I'm just cool.
Oh, what
No.
was that song? Cool like that.
I don't know.
Oh, we got to find that song. Okay. Anyhow.
By Cool in the Gang? Cat
Yeah,
showing her age,
cool
people.
like that.
I
No,
don't
it's
know.
not by Cool in the Game.
I don't know. I drive around on two wheels, so that also helps to drive a scooter around. So That helps me stay cool going from place to place.
Yes.
Also looks cool.
And I see you like around town sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm the one screaming out the window, like I roll the window. I'm like, Andrew, and you're like, hey.
Or I'm driving through like the beach road in Gwangan,
right?
And I hear somebody in some coffee shop, and people don't realize that. It's quite frightening, and
it's dangerous. Like, I shouldn't do that. Okay, next time I see you, I will not call.
People think I've had about 3 or 4 of those Vesper martinis. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. I should. Yeah, I won't cat call.
No, please do it. It's all right. I love it.
Yes.
No, stay cool. I don't know. I mean, try to you try to get into the AC, the aircon a little bit more. Carrying an umbrella on a sunny day, just unless I'm at the beach, is. It's not really a Canadian thing to do. We don't get all that much snow or all that much sun, so we want to take in as much as we can. I don't know. I like those people that wear those like the neck fans that have like the double fan.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people on the subways and places like that, and they seem to work. I don't know. I just feel like the extra weight would make me that much more. That's a little bit
irritable.
Yeah, I don't know. I have been known. I think it actually broke last summer. The portable handheld fan.
Yes,
I had bought one of those before, and it worked very well, especially when you're on public transport. So I guess maybe that. I don't know. Or just
That's definitely fine.
And shorts are from now until probably November for me. So
yes, I wear a lot of linen. Not today, but like lots of linen during the summer.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea as well.
Yes. All right, let's dive into. Oh, we have so much from the golf world. I'm so excited.
We got some golf world. We got some hockey. We have some football or soccer, if you may. So Amy Yang or Yang Hee Young has waited. A long time to hoist a major championship trophy, and she finally got to do it on Sunday at the KPMG Women's PGA Championship. Now, we have been talking every week about golf, the men's golf, the women's golf, but we hadn't been able to talk about a woman, a Korean woman, getting any sort of championship this season.
That's so true. This has been a dry. It's been dry.
The 16th tournament so far. So. Young won the 3rd major of the 2024 LPGA Tour season at the Salali Country Club, carding an even 72 in the final round to win by 3 shots and become the major champion in her 75th major start.
Wow.
So this was, as I just said, their 75th career major start. In her previous 74, not a bad resume, to be honest. She notched 21 top 10s, including 12 top 5s. She owns 2 runners-up and a 3rd at the U.S. Open and finished tied for 4th or better in every major but the Evian. So, she's hadn't won it, but the paydays were still there.
Yes.
At the major championship, that's where you want to be in the top 10 because that's where you're going to get the most money. But let's get to a clip here from the LPGA and talking about her journey. And, you can just hear in her voice how excited and how emotional she is. Let's take a listen.
It's hard to know where to start when talking about Amy Yang's victory at the KPMG Women's PGA Championship. Because after 16 years on tour and so many times in contention, she is officially a major champion.
I'm lost for words right now. It's all the hard work our team did together, and I'm so grateful for that. And all 4 rounds, it wasn't tough out there, but I just trusted what I prepared, and I did my best all week. Yeah, I always wanted to win a major, and I came close, several times, and I started doubting myself if I ever gonna win a major before I retire, because I've been on tour quite a while, and I am so grateful and very, very happy to win a major.
That was so emotional, but you know what was even more amazing than that? Finding out that you made the Olympic team on air live. That was so amazing.
Yes. So that's
the reaction.
Exactly. So it was Kim Hyun-ju and Ko Jin-young who were in the top 15.
Yes.
Now, it wouldn't have mattered where Amy Yang had finished outside of the top 15 because the country was already sending two members. And that's all you could send.
Yes.
But if you're inside the top 15, they can send up to 4.
Yeah.
And we talked about this last week for the men, and it's the same deal. So by her jumping in to the top 15, It's pretty amazing. And, back in Rio, she tied for 4th, I think it was, in Rio. So she definitely has been there before. And, she went on to say, saying, that she has so much more experience now. Hopefully she can take it, but also enjoy the Olympics a little more this time in Paris. And I think she's going to have a really good time, especially with Ko Jin-young and also Kim Hyun-ju. I think they're going to have a good time.
They are. Yes. Well, we have to talk about what happened on the men's side because I was watching this live.
Drama.
Like doing my makeup right before Morning Wave in Busan. I was just like, what? Did I see this correctly?
Yeah, and we hear about protesters. There was the ones at the Stonehenge last week.
Yes.
There's in art galleries around the world, museums, all this. This is a little bit different for me as being a sports fan. I haven't really seen too much of this. So Scottie Scheffler had to wait out a climate protest on the 18th green, and Tom Kim's tying birdie on the last hole of regulation, which was amazing.
Yes.
But actually, Scheffler almost finished things off.
He did almost.
It was a putt on the fringe. And I want to say that maybe if those protesters wouldn't have came in, he may have sunk that putt.
He may have because it's all mental.
Yeah, 100%.
We know, right?
Exactly. So those events only delayed what seemed to be the inevitable on the PGA Tour this season. The best golfer in the world walking off with his trophy. He went on to say this can be a stressful situation, and you would hate for a tournament to end on something weird happening because of a situation like that.
Yes.
Tom and I both tried to calm each other down so we could give it our best shot there on 18. And you could see them talking to each other. And I think that probably Scheffler maybe calmed Tom Kim down a little bit more because if you watch his face when it's going on, he's just like, what in the world is going on? And Scheffler, I think they realized, hey, we both have weapons in our hands right now. If anyone comes at us, they're going to be getting a putter off the head.
Yes.
So I think they're going to be all right in that sense. And then Tom Kim went on to say, as much as I love him, I would have loved to take that one away from him. He shares also his birthday and friendship with Scheffler. And they play a lot together in Texas. So they're very friendly. And you could see that after, everything was finished.
I mean, the aftermath I thought was really, really sweet. I mean, bittersweet for Tom because he was leading the first 3 rounds. And then the last round, Scheffler, number 1 golfer in the world, overtook him. But they are good friends. I mean, they, same birthday. They were having pizza together.
Exactly.
And then afterward, his wife, Meredith, I think, Scheffler's wife came over with the baby. And we're like, oh, Uncle Tom. And it was so cute.
It was pretty cute.
Yes. All right. What else do we have?
Moving on, some hockey. Just for anybody, after 9 a.m. this morning, if you try to contact Canada, it's closed for 3 hours. There'll be nobody picking up phones. There'll be nobody.
Glued to their TV.
Glued to the TV,
yes.
yeah. So after 6 games full of twists and turns, it comes down to this Game 7 of the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers will decide which team will lift the famous trophy. Now, the Panthers did race to a 3-game lead, and then the Oilers said, hold on. They came back and won 3 straight themselves.
Wow.
So to force a Game 7. Now, with this here, the victory for the Oilers would end Canada's decades-long, it was 1993, the last time that a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup, my Montreal Canadiens, drought, and make Edmonton the second team, the first being the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1942, to win a championship after being down 3-0, which is unbelievable. Like now it is
in
only
any sport.
In any sport, yeah.
Right.
It's down to only 1 game, so it's not it's all or nothing now. But I don't know. I don't want to make a prediction because I don't want to jinx it, but I'll definitely be watching the game. That's for sure.
Yes. Really quick. Any updates for the Euros?
Just an update, a quick one here from what happened on Sunday night. There was a big incident. Barnabas Varga sustained a serious injury during his match in the Scotland versus Hungary game. He's a Hungarian player. It seems like he had collided with Angus Gunn, the Scotland keeper. It seems like he's coming through it okay. He's going to have surgery, a broken cheekbone.
But he passed out. He was unconscious.
Yeah, and this is, Dominic Szoboszlai, the captain from Hungary, came out and said that protocol needs to change. There needs to be a quicker response time. But I feel like he was just maybe caught up in the moment because I watched it and they were pretty quick. 15 seconds, 20 seconds, I know could seem like an eternity for someone on the field.
That's true.
That's pretty quick though, right? And after what we saw with Christian Eriksen 4 years ago, it was kind of, people had that sense again.
Yes.
But they had sheets, they've held it up around. And when he went off the field, he was on a stretcher,
Yes.
but he was conscious. He does have a pretty bad concussion, I hear.
Right.
We'll have to see what goes on with that. But, it is the group stages are wrapping up, and the knockout stages will start on this Saturday night, or late Saturday night for us, early Sunday morning, June 30th. The first game of that will be Switzerland versus Italy. No other games are confirmed yet, but keep watching this space because we'll have an update next week.
That's right. So thank you so much, Andrew. We'll check in with you next week.
Have a good one.
Everybody, this was Sports Insider. Let's get to our final song for hour number 1. This is Nothing Lasts Forever by Maroon 5.
It is so easy to see dysfunction between you and me. We must free up these tired souls before the sadness kills us both. I tried and tried to let you know I love you, but I'm letting go. It may not last, but I don't know. I just don't know. If you don't know, then you can't care. And you show up, but you're not there. But I'm waiting, and you want to. Still afraid that I will desert you. Every day, with every word this word, we get more far away. The distance between us makes it so hard to stay. But nothing lasts forever, but be honest, babe. It hurts, but it may be the only way. A bed that's warm with memories can heal us temporarily. But misbehaving only makes the ditch between us so damn deep. Built a wall around my heart, never let it fall apart. Strangely, I wish secretly it would fall down while I'm asleep. If you don't know, then you can't care. When you show up, but you're not there. But I'm waiting, and you want to. Still afraid that I will desert you, babe. Every day, with every word this word, we get more far away. The distance between us makes it so hard to stay. But nothing lasts forever, but be honest, babe. It hurts, but it may be the only way. But we have not hit the ground. Doesn't mean we're not.
Your Bridge to the World.
어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Hello everyone, I'm James from India. Ever since I was a young boy in India, I have been surrounded by different Korean products, and this instilled a dream in me to explore Korea one day. This chance came for me in 2014 when I began attending Busan National University as a graduate student in computer engineering. I have lived in Korea for over 7 years, and I even run my own business now, a company that is developing a platform based on artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. From my experience, I can say with an absolutely certainty that Busan was the best place for me to start my business, thanks to the specialized blockchain zone. In the past 7 years, Busan has become my second home, and I obviously love it here. Global City Busan, we are in it together. This campaign was brought to you by BFM, 부산영어방송.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning,
Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock and this is news highlights. At least 22 dead in battery plant fire. At least 22 people, including 24 nationals, were confirmed dead in the Parasol lithium battery plant fire in Hwaseong yesterday, in what is likely the worst chemical accident in the country. President Yoon Suk-yeol visited the site yesterday for an emergency inspection and ordered government officials to draw up measures to prevent similar accidents. A joint investigation team involving 6 institutions will inspect the site today to figure out the cause of the fire. The foreign ministry plans on working with the diplomatic missions of related countries to support the victims and their families. North Korea sends trash balloons to South Korea again. North Korea yesterday sent balloons presumed to be carrying trash across the border for the 5th time since last month, said the Joint Chiefs of Staff for JCS. The JCS advised the public to not touch the balloons and report them to the military or police. Kim Yo-jong on Friday hinted at sending more balloons in response to anti-Pyongyang leaflets by South Korean civic groups. Earlier in the day, Pyongyang condemned the arrival of a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt to Busan, saying that it is open to taking overwhelming and fresh deterrence measures. KMA steps back from walkout plan. The Korean Medical Association, or KMA, has announced that it will hold off on collective action scheduled for June 27th. The KMA issued a press release yesterday saying it will decide on the future direction of its protest after a meeting of the Pan Medical Committee scheduled for this Saturday. The KMA apologized for inconveniences and anxiety patients are experiencing and called on doctors to prevent a government-induced medical vacuum and stressed they will not stop the struggle against the government's reforms. National Assembly Speaker calls for constitutional amendment. National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-jik declared that now is the best time to push for a constitutional amendment for a possible 2-term, 4-year presidency. Speaking at an invitational forum, Wu revealed plans to form an advisory committee and hold debates to create momentum for the amendment. Wu said that there is public consensus on the need of the amendment, including problems with the current single-term 5-year system, and said that a 2-term system would make the president more mindful of public sentiment. EU accused Apple of violating major digital law. Apple has become the first company to be charged with breaching the European Union's Digital Markets Act for allegedly preventing app makers from giving users cheaper options inside the App Store. The Digital Markets Act is a sweeping set of regulations aimed at preventing tech gatekeepers from cornering digital markets under threat of heavy financial penalties. The iPhone maker now risks an EU fine of up to 10% of its worldwide revenue, as the EU intends to show that its new law must be taken seriously. And this was news headlines. It is time for issue wagle.
It is.
It's time.
It is. It's that
I was
time.
reading some of your comments. Tommy, you're my new favorite person.
Wait.
Because I
what
asked,
did he
why
say?
are you... Some people were saying, 멍 때리고 있다고
Oh,
오늘.
they're spacing out today.
Yes, they're spacing out. And Tommy says, he's like a brother to me because you're so beautiful. I know you're being sarcastic, but so sweet.
I don't think he was being sarcastic.
So sweet.
Yeah, so
Yes,
sweet.
so sweet.
No, it's that kind of morning.
Yes.
Our producer sent me like a story for news headlines or highlights or whatever, and I couldn't comprehend it. I was like, what's going on? What?
like,
So
what?
you did what? I was like, can we do something else? I just can't.
Right. But you know, I have those days where like I just do want to space out. Yesterday was one of those days. I was so
Right?
sleepy no matter what. I drink
Is it
coffee
summer?
after coffee, iced Americano, iced coffee like all day long. And I normally don't drink that much coffee. I couldn't keep my eyes open for some reason. I was just
It
so
happens.
drowsy.
My brains are just like, I'm just gonna go on like
fried.
hibernation mode. Yeah.
Yes. And just in case, William, he wonders if we coordinate.
Oh, we do
We
not.
do not. We
but
never
I
coordinate.
did find out that we kind of shop from somewhat the same shopping
places.
malls. Yeah,
Yes. Coincidentally.
So.
And then, I don't know. Yes. All right. First story. We got to get serious because another Army conscript was found dead under mysterious circumstances.
So, right, an Army private with the 51st Division of the Army, he was found dead during his early morning guard duty on Sunday. So this conscript soldier is fairly new, assigned to his post at the end of last month, and was found dead around 5 a.m. on Sunday. And but apparently his parents, they wrote on the online community page for conscript soldiers' family members, calling for a thorough investigation into what happened, why this happened during their guard duty. Because the thing is, the deceased was found alone, and soldiers are supposed to stand guard in pairs.
Right.
So where was his partner? So the Army and the police are looking into the cause of the accident, according to the Army. And they say that the military police within that unit they're fully excluded from the investigation, and there are no signs of foul play found at the scene. However, the authorities are looking into the circumstances, including whether there may have been bullying. And the thing is, though, this is the latest in the series of deaths we have reported on from the military. For example, this is so recent. About a month ago on May 27th, an Air Force officer was found dead in his dorm. An Army officer found dead inside his car. And there were the deaths of conscript soldiers, one after disciplinary training, which is still under investigation, and another one after the grenade blast incident.
Yes. And once again, parents' worst nightmare. You send your son to serve
Right.
in compulsory military service. And they don't come home.
It is one of the duties of a South Korean man. Then the country must do its duty to protect them.
Yes, agreed. All right, next. Big news. The trash and manure-filled balloons from North Korea made headlines, I believe, like a couple weeks ago. And now the Unification Ministry has analyzed the contents in these balloons, which revealed quite a bit about life in the world's most reclusive country. Plus, you probably saw the alerts yesterday
So,
as well.
of course, we got the alerts last night / this morning. So North Korea sent another round of balloons last night. However, we're referring to the ones from a couple of weeks ago because analysis has been completed. So the trash that were found in the balloons, they were cut to very similar pieces, various items, and they show the country's poor living conditions. So the Unification Ministry of South Korea said that the North actually took great lengths trying to conceal information. So there were pieces of plastic bottles. However, the country removed caps and labels on those beverage bottles to hide the brand or what kind of things they wore. However, there was also clothing, which were cut into tiny pieces. They reveal what life in North Korea is like for the residents. So there were socks that were found to have been darned, so patched up multiple times. T-shirts and children's clothing worn out with holes in them. And then there were also multiple items that seemed to be copies of American characters, and or at least copies, so the imitations, and other items that are supposed to be banned in the country, so contrabands. And like we said previously, the balloons also had manure inside. Thing is, most industrialized countries, including South Korea, for fertilizer, we use chemical fertilizer. We have long gone away from using, fecal feces, excrements as fertilizer. However, the authorities found different parasites and bacteria that are likely from human feces.
Human feces.
So, so this points to North Korea still potentially using human waste as fertilizer.
I see.
Which it's quite unsanitary. And the fact that they found parasites in the feces / fertilizer, it points to living conditions in North Korea being quite unsanitary and problematic. However, as for South Korea, there were only small amounts of such fertilizer found inside the trash bag, so it shouldn't carry risks of contamination or infection. But once again, this is why if you do see these trash balloons, don't touch them and just call the military or the police.
Indeed. So that's what's inside these balloons. Now we know for sure. We saw photos before, but all right, moving on. Speaking of trash, NASA is being sued for. I laugh because America is so litigious. They love lawsuits. So NASA is being sued for space trash.
So the astronauts are not throwing cigarette butts outside of spaceships, but a family in Florida, they're suing NASA for.
You got to slow down. You got to do. It's not a man in Florida.
It's a family in Florida.
It's always
not a Florida
story.
man. It's a Florida family. Because debris from outer space fell and punched a hole through their roof.
Wow.
Okay,
I might sue too, though.
Right, that's true. So a legal representative for the family says that a metallic cylinder, it's a slab of cylinder from a cargo pallet that was released from the International Space Station. The debris was released back in 2021, but it reached Earth this year, hit the Otero family home on March 8th of this year. Thankfully, no one was injured. The debris did punch a hole through the roof.
Yes.
Well, the family says that the object almost hit their son, but the son was 2 rooms over. So
that's a stretch.
There's a little bit of exaggeration.
Yes.
But there's a hole in their roof. It was later confirmed that the debris was from flight support equipment. A section of the debris did remain intact. The thing is, most of the space trash debris, they're supposed to disintegrate. Basically, they set on fire and disappear after they reach the Earth's atmosphere. This one did not. So how much will one be potentially compensated for this?
How much?
$80,000. That's almost 1억 won, 100 million won.
I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be much more than that.
I thought there was going to be 0 next year.
At least.
So they cite damages for non-insured property, business interruption, emotional and mental anguish, and the cost of assistance from third-party agencies. For example, having to live in a hotel or another accommodation while the roof is being patched. So the attorney claims that this isn't just about this family, but they're looking to set precedents for space debris claims in the private and the public sector. future. So NASA has 6 months to respond to the claim. But this is actually a big issue because there are so many, record number of satellites, and there will be more in space. And when they're decommissioned, when they're out of usage, they do kind of just, well, no one's going to go up there and retrieve them.
There's a lot of
They don't have
space
sanitation workers.
trash out there.
There's space garbage
Junk.
out there, and it could fall down. So,
And we created it. So, collectively
I
as
didn't.
humankind.
You didn't, but you know.
Humankind, all the Musks out there. All right. For our final story, we're going to go back to our text topic. We're going to talk about parasols.
Yes. So going back to our text topic, you know, there was this meme, people asking G-Dragon, GD, very big fashion icon too, can you start carrying parasols so it's acceptable socially for us too? Because once upon a time when I was a child, it was moms and grandmas with their lacy parasols were considered quote unquote old lady items.
Like my mom even
Exactly.
refused to. She refuses to use a parasol.
Oh, still?
Still,
Well,
because
your
she's
mom's
like
fashionable.
But she's like, no. I'm just like, okay, mom.
But
chill.
then now I see young people younger than me, I guess I'm an MC, but Gen Zs
Gen
carrying
Zs.
them, and I'm like, can I? May I?
Can we bust out our parasols now?
Right. And then now it's hot, and we're going to have an expert come on soon. So, and then also, not only the heat, but sudden showers. You know, the rain doesn't come as they used to. It's not like the consistent drizzle. It's like, bam, dumps water on you, and it's clear again. So, Uyangsan, which is the dual umbrella parasols, are also becoming popular. So let me give you some data behind this. So according to a search keyword analysis website on the country's biggest portal site, there were 280,000 searches for Yangsan. Parasols.
Yes.
That's a 160% increase from the previous month. Another term, 우양산, the Usan Yangsan umbrella parasol, searches spiked by 155%. And then another e-commerce platform seeing a 112% increase in their parasol sales.
Sure.
So this is a testament to the changing perceptions on parasols being old lady items. Well, the National Institute of Korean Language, 국립국어원, they previously originally defined Yangsan as a large umbrella-shaped item usually used by women to shade themselves from the sun.
That's what they really wrote?
That's what they wrote. Well, this was the original,
Okay,
the very
original.
original.
Okay.
In the 2021 edition, however,
what did they write?
took out the part usually used by women.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's
so,
what I was...
Daegu, for instance, one of the hottest cities in the country,
Yes.
they actually rent out parasols to residents.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then Japan has been ahead of this trend, even with the Environment Ministry encouraging people to gift dads parasols for Father's Day. Yeah. So, and then there are also questions in Korea in men's fashion communities as to can I start using parasols? Is it okay? Is it socially acceptable?
Right.
Why not?
And the thing is that one of our listeners, I believe it's Drift Monkey. Oh, okay. Is there a difference between an umbrella and a parasol? Is the question. So I did look it up real quick. I'm not an expert.
Right.
And they say that, some people use it kind of interchangeably. However, parasol, it means for the sun in Spanish. Right. So,
Parasol.
Yeah, parasol. But it's the material of the canopy of the material can be different, whereas it may not be waterproof.
Exactly. So a lot of parasols, especially, going back to the quote unquote the old
days. Yes, old lady.
They were lace.
They're lace, yes.
They were literal holes.
And the one I was gifted, it's so pretty. And it's like a very muted floral.
Ooh.
But I haven't used it. Maybe now I can use it freely.
Why
I don't know.
not? Because I have
Maybe not.
science.
I don't know.
I have science as to why perhaps you should. According to studies, parasols block about at least 90% of UV rays. And of course, there are still reflected from walls and floors.
Sure.
And unlike sunscreen, which, if you listen to Dr. Alice Tan, a shot of soju amount for your entire body, which I'm still in denial about.
Right.
I know she's the expert, and you should reapply them every 2 hours. Parasols, you just open and it's a done deal.
Sure.
There's a major convenience factor.
Right.
In terms of cooling, or at least you're never going to be cool, but in terms of temperature, less heating effects. One Japanese study had 6 men walk for 15 minutes in 30-degree heat, 50% humidity. And the ones that when they use parasols, they sweat about 17% less.
Oh.
So yeah, there's a significant factor there.
I'm laughing because I'm like 17, so precise. These
So
scientists
precise.
out
Like,
there.
how
yes.
did you measure the sweat? But
Right.
anyways,
Uh-huh.
someone else did that for us, Daegu City. And I do take them as an authority on heat because I know it's Daegu. They say using parasols can lower the temperature under the parasol by about 7% and the real field temperature by about they say about 10%, 10%.
Yes.
And not only that, they block direct UV rays, so that can prevent skin irritation, even potentially long-term hair loss. So, yeah.
Hair loss.
Well, because if your scalp gets heated, in the
That's
long
true.
term, you're not going to immediately start shedding, but it's not good for your follicles anyway.
That's true.
So, yeah.
And it's all about the hair.
Should we do a
at
little
the end.
공구? Should we do like mass purchase?
Yeah, let's try it.
Should we make Morning Wave in Busan parasols?
Oh.
Should we make merch?
Yeah, let's do some merch.
And she's like as our producer's actively trying to avoid
eye contact. She's like, what are you guys talking about?
Stop making things bigger.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all the issues, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right. Now it's back to you, the listeners. It's time for your updated traffic and weather. It is time for your updated traffic. It is now 8:19 on this Tuesday morning here in Busan. So there was an accident on Gayadero from Sasang District Office intersection to Nakdong Bridge, right in front of the bridge. That's causing backup still. It's looking slow on Gwanmun-dero from Sujang-Pangnam Tunnel to Baegang Tunnel. Congestion detected on Pyeonglo from Kumsa Interchange to Suyong Tunnel right now, and also backup on Suyongno from the KBS three-way intersection to the Daenam intersection. It is currently 24 degrees, and I do see some cloud coverage just a little bit right now, a little bit hazy. The daytime high will go up to 29 today. Keep this in mind today, though. Fine dust and ultrafine dust levels for right now are reading bad. This was your traffic and weather. So here is our next song. This is Hero by Family of the Year.
I don't wanna be your hero. I don't wanna be a big man. I just wanna fight with everyone else. Your masquerade. I don't wanna be a part of your parade. Everyone deserves a chance to walk with everyone else while holding down a job to keep my girl around and maybe buy me some new strings and her a night out on the weekend. And we can whisper things, secrets from our American dreams.
All right, welcome back. What a nice song for us on this Tuesday morning. It is now 8:23. And for one last time for a text topic, we've been talking about staying cool, maybe not cool looking, but at least cool while we deal with the summer heat during summer. And so there's like this whole debate about the whole parasol. Like, by the way, waivers out there, if you're still listening, do you use parasols? I know Leslie does. But I mean, anybody else, like, or is it too still in our minds, the stereotypical kind of too old ladylike or kind of fuddy-duddy? Is it just not fashionista enough for you people? Do you use parasols out there? Like I said, I've been contemplating. I have it. I got gifted a really pretty one, but I haven't used it yet. So that's kind of a side issue as well. It seems that people, in terms of keeping cool, let's see. Umberto. My summer items are the same ones for winter here in California. A long sleeve t-shirt, hat, sunscreen, SPF 70. Did they go all the way up to 70 now? Okay, sunglasses, which his wife makes fun of, and shorts. Yes, yes. You know, for me, it's like, I don't know, I can't wear shorts to work because I teach. And so I sometimes wear like longer dresses, always covering the knees. I do wear short sleeve shirts now. It's kind of hot, right? I also wear lots of linen during the summer because that's like the best way to stay cool when the breeze, whatever breeze we have, you know, kind of can go through the thin layers of linen, the material. So I know it's definitely a challenge to stay kind of cool during summer, but I certainly hope we can do it together. Now we're going to get to our special interview. I'll be back in just a moment. For today's special interview, this goes hand in hand with what we've been talking about, staying cool. And the thing is, in certain parts of the world, it's been, blisteringly hot. The death of some 1,300 people, 1,300 people at least, making the Islamic pilgrimage of Hajj in Saudi Arabia really has made headlines all around the world this past week, bringing us to look into this. And we want to know about extreme temperatures in the world, all over the place, but also the dangers of heat stress on our bodies. So let's find out more, because the heat waves, they are marked by periods of excess heat. It seems to be becoming more frequent, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, we have the whole climate change issue as well. So we have invited Dr. Tony Wolf, who's an assistant professor in the Department of Kinesiology at the University of Georgia. So he's on air with us right now. Hi, thanks for joining us.
Hey there, how are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yes. So first of all, can you explain to our listeners what happens to the human body when we are under heat stress? And maybe also if you can define what heat stress is?
Yeah, so heat stress is just any kind of stressor that increases our body temperature, right? So we have external heat gain from the environment when it gets hot. And also, if we're exercising or engaging in physical activity, our body generates heat to do that while it's doing that. And so both of those things kind of combine to heat us up. And that's what heat stress is.
Yes.
So when we get hot, we have two main physiological avenues for dissipating that heat. One is sweating, which I think everybody is pretty familiar with. We secrete sweat onto the skin. And when that sweat is evaporated into the surrounding environment, heat is liberated, causing a cooling effect. The other mechanism is an increase in skin blood flow, or blood flow to the skin, which delivers warmed blood from the core of the body to the skin to be cooled. And as air passes over our skin, as long as the air is cooler than the skin, it causes a cooling effect. So additionally, the evaporation of sweat cools the skin. So together, the evaporation of sweat and the passage of air over the skin serve to cool the blood, which is then circulated back to our body's core. And as long as heat dissipation through these mechanisms are equal to heat gain, we're able to maintain heat balance. But if the heat gain exceeds heat loss, then body temperature increases. So these mechanisms are extremely important for keeping us from rapidly overheating, but they also create significant physiological strain, particularly on our cardiovascular system or on our heart. in order to support the increase in skin blood flow, our heart has to work harder to pump that blood. And at the same time, as we sweat, we dehydrate. That reduces our total blood volume if we don't restore fluids adequately. So the heart has to work even harder to constantly recirculate a smaller blood volume.
Thanks for explaining it so thoroughly so we can understand. So when we talk about these factors, how dangerous can it become, heat stress? So basically, can you die from something like heat stress?
Yeah, the answer to that question really depends on the individual and the precise conditions of the heat stress. So from early adulthood through middle age, most heat-related deaths are exertional in nature. So that means that they occur during prolonged exercise or physical activity. Often these are from heat stroke. But aging is associated with impaired sweating responses, reduced skin blood flow, and reduced cardiac output, which is the amount of blood that's pumped by the heart each minute. So older adults have a harder time physiologically compensating for heat stress compared to young adults. So in older adults, most heat-related deaths are actually classical in nature, which means not during physical activity or exercise. They just succumb to the hot conditions alone without that compounding effect of physical activity. And most of those deaths are at least partly cardiovascular in nature. Older adults oftentimes have relatively weakened cardiovascular systems, either due to primary aging or other comorbidities of aging, like type 2 diabetes, for example.
Yes.
And so the increase in physiological strain during heat stress can substantially increase the risk of a cardiovascular event because of the cardiovascular strain, how hard the heart is having to work to pump blood throughout the body during heat stress. Yes. And so it can cause a heart attack or other issues. And so indeed, during heat waves, we see significant increases in cardiovascular mortality, most of which are in adults over the age of 65.
Well, in terms of some terminology that we do want to learn about, what exactly is the heat index, and also this term that we came across as we were doing research for this interview, the wet bulb temperatures? Can you explain this?
Yeah, so the wet bulb temperature is taken with a normal thermometer that's covered with a wick that's soaked in water, and then air is passed over that wick. Mm-hmm. And the evaporation of the water from the wick reduces the temperature being read by the thermometer because, as we discussed before, heat is liberated in that evaporation process.
Right.
So in a low humidity environment, a really dry environment, the water evaporates very readily and cools the thermometer very effectively. In a high humidity environment, on the other hand, less water evaporates, and therefore the temperature is not cooled as much on the thermometer. So it really gives an index of the evaporative capacity of the environment. So in an environment with 100% relative humidity, wet bulb temperature is equal to dry bulb temperature, which is the temperature we're typically used to reading on a thermometer, like on our weather apps. Mm-hmm. The heat index, which is also known as apparent temperature or the feels like temperature, is a metric that was developed based on human perceptions of the environment. So rather than being based on physiology or biophysics, it's really based on how people feel in a given environment.
And so is that why when we, talk about for example, what we see meteorologists or, weather people on TV or on radio, they say, the actual temperature, for example, is going to be like 35 degrees, but they use words like the real field temperature but it's going to feel much hotter because of this and this. So is that the difference when we talk about the heat index?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So when you include humidity, right, the temperature is kind of, if you only have just the ambient temperature, it's not really giving you the whole story. If you add humidity into that equation, for a given temperature, it can feel a lot hotter.
Yes. Well, when we talk about prevention and protection, what specific steps should be taken to protect the general public, but especially for the vulnerable population, as we talked about, people who are older or even are really, really young, like let's say kids or babies?
Yeah, So the ultimate goal of our research is to characterize the combinations of temperature and humidity above which heat-related risk begins to increase in older adults and other vulnerable populations.
Right.
So as those findings are disseminated, our hope is that those data can be used to create standards and guide policy for impending heat waves in order to protect the most vulnerable among us. And so development of a warning system, including a scale or some other easy to understand system for communicating and approaching heat waves, should be a focal point of that process. And then, obviously having education efforts are really important to let people know what they need to do in order to protect themselves when a heat wave is coming.
Yes, yes. And when we talk about these standards and systems, can you expand on that a little bit more? What are you looking at? What would you hope to see in terms of setting up these warning systems?
Yeah, all the research that we're doing, we're looking at combinations of temperature and humidity, and that can get really complicated because there's any number of combinations of temperature and humidity that can occur throughout the day, let alone throughout the year, right? So I think that the ideal would be in the long term to be able to implement some sort of scale that's intuitive, particularly for older adults, based on human physiological responses to varying degrees of heat and humidity in order to protect people during heat waves. And so that could be as simple as, for example, the UV index that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. You can find it pretty much on any weather app, and it indicates risk of harm from the sun. So a higher, it's 1 to 11, 11 being high risk. So an index like that could similarly provide a single score for a given combination of temperature and humidity, and include specific recommendations for groups that would be especially vulnerable to those conditions.
Well, looking at your research and just, of course, your wealth of knowledge, as we wrap up our discussion, what more can we do as we are at least, seeing in many parts of the world these kind of extreme weather patterns where we're seeing these like prolonged heat waves in certain parts of the world? I mean, I would assume that we might see more of these issues in the future. So aside from things like having some of these indices or systems set up for the general public, what can we do individually to better prepare for heat waves?
Yeah, that's another thing that it's going to vary a little bit depending on the individual, but generally speaking, it's just really good to be prepared. Have a good plan for staying cool when a heat wave is coming. If you don't have access to air conditioning, try to find a place that does, so where you can go to cool off. If air conditioning isn't available, you can seek other strategies such as dousing with cool water, using fans, etc. Avoiding heavy work during the hottest hours of the day, if at all possible, is important. And again, making sure to stay hydrated, again, to kind of reduce that amount of cardiovascular strain that you're going to experience. And I would also really encourage people to check on family, friends, and neighbors to ensure that they have access to air conditioning or some other way of staying cool during, impending heat events.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with our listeners. We do appreciate your time. Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This was Dr. Tony Wolf, and we've been talking about heat stress. This is a real issue, especially, as he said, for the elderly, the people who are older, as they may not be able to get rid of that heat as easily, maybe not sweat as much, or in terms of the blood flow to the skin, and that might lead to cardiovascular issues as well. And I think what he said at the very end about checking in on our loved ones and neighbors also, just to see if they're doing okay, asking them, can I help you in any way? Do you need water, especially if people don't have like water filtration systems, maybe making just sure that they have enough hydration might go a long way. This was your special interview. How about this song, Don't Stop Believing by Journey? And I'll be back in a moment.
He took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. A singer in a smoky room, the smell of wine and cheap perfume. For a smile they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard. Their shadows searching in the night. Streetlights, people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants a thrill, paying anything to roll the dice just one more time. Some will win, some will lose. Some are born to sing the blues. Oh, the movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard. Their shadows searching in the night. Streetlights, people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is time for our segment. It is called The Health. Yes.
The health.
The health. Because we all want the health, right? So welcome back.
Thanks
Just
for
in
having
case our listeners might have missed last week, just a real short intro. Can you tell our wavers who you are?
Well, my name is Mindy. I
Yes.
am a yoga instructor here in Busan, and I run a studio here.
Yes, indeed. And she gave me it's not even a business card or a postcard. I don't know what to call it.
It's a little
so
love
beautiful.
and inspiration with some beautiful photos of our amazing teachers.
I was just like, whoa, how did you do that? It's like, whoa.
Jack of all trades when you're a small business owner, right?
Yes, yes. Well, what are we going to be talking about today?
So I know it doesn't feel like it with the hot and the cold. We're talking about the heat. So we know that summer is upon us. But in my realm, I mean, this is when it becomes what I consider the most toxic time of the year.
Toxic? What do you mean by toxic?
We get all of these advertisements and this promotion for get your beach body. It's time for the summer shred.
Yeah.
You know, really leaning on our worst insecurities and promoting the vanity. So, and I feel like it's even more toxic than the beginning of the year when there's all these New Year's resolutions because just from a mindset that's about be more, do more, set goals, work towards something, whereas this is be less, lose. And so just that as a starting point is a very toxic mentality.
I agree. I love the fact that you're calling it toxic, calling it out for what it is. Right. So are we going to do something that's going to kind of counter all that toxicity?
Hopefully.
Okay.
I hope that I have some, just some philosophical overview on, ways to set up the mentality, but then also some very actionable things. So I know that this sounds like every late night infomercial, but the secret to your optimal, again, not ideal.
Yes.
But your optimal body is mindful eating.
Mindful eating. So let's explain what that is first.
Sure. So when we associate yoga, we think about mindful movement. Just thinking about it. We talked last week about disassociation.
Yes.
So instead of separating your mind and your body, that you're trying to integrate those two pieces, right? Yoga translates as union. So bringing the different pieces together.
Sure.
And the same thing goes for how we eat. So rather than thinking of it very separate, how are we bringing our awareness into how we eat?
Okay.
And again, just tying it back to my world, the philosophy of yoga, we have these two concepts that come from ancient philosophical texts known as raga and dvesha.
Okay.
So it's this idea of aversion and attachment, or sometimes called desire and attachment, or attachment and aversion. So really, really clinging to something and really, really pushing something away.
I see.
You can think about this in terms of your favorite foods. Like, I really, really love this thing. I can't control myself when I'm around it. I want more, I want more. And then the opposite thing of like, oh, that's so disgusting. Get it away from me. I don't want it. So, we can think about these big ideas in really small daily life kinds of ways.
Sure.
So what we want to think about today is this in three parts. Number one, your mindset.
Mindset. So, by the way, for just joining us right now, you're a little late, but we forgive you. Mindful eating is our topic. Okay,
Yes.
so number one, mindset.
Yes.
Okay.
And then number two, we're going to talk about inquiry. And then three, the action.
Okay,
Just very literal things that you can do in daily life that's going to help to bring more mindfulness and more awareness into these practices. Because when we think about if we are trying to modify how we look, how we feel, how we move, realistically, maybe ideally you're working out 1 hour a day.
Sure.
And that's kind of a high-minded goal. If you're eating multiple times throughout the day. So this is the bigger piece of how we are working with our bodies.
True.
So starting with mindset, thinking about eating as a chore. I mean, we're all guilty of this, especially when we get so obsessed with being busy. I know that, the Korean lifestyle, the American lifestyle, there's no value. When we think about the luxurious nature of Europeans, that idea of taking like a 2 or 3 hour lunch and siesta and time to, exactly. So it's very, very different culturally.
Yes.
And also we can think about it in terms of, going to a fast food restaurant and going to a Michelin star restaurant. How would you define there's a lot of difference there.
Yes.
But for you, in terms of experience, how would you delineate a Michelin star experience versus going to a fast food restaurant?
First of all, like if I were to go to a Michelin star restaurant, I would take my time. Not just because I'm probably eating something that's a little more expensive than fast food, but like the idea of like kind of savoring and kind of like really listening and honing in on the different kind of tastes and the sensories and just even like the aroma and looking at the pretty plating.
The presentation, everything is part of it,
Yes,
right?
yes, the whole experience.
You're not under these crazy beam lights, everything's going as fast as possible,
No.
it's not disposable.
Right.
You're literally not a number. I mean, think about
Exactly.
just that concept. If you get a number,
That's true.
You know, you sit down, people are greeting you, you're getting to know each other.
Sure.
And then on the back end, there's an entire concept behind it. So you're not just taking in food, you're not taking in ingredients, you're taking in a whole story.
Oh, that's
and so
true.
we think about this when we cook, right? What is the magical ingredient? It's love, it's time, it's care. And so in that way, when we have that love, that is what's actually nourishing us. That's when we get that relationship with the food. So it's very difficult. You know, we have our daily lives. We're very busy and we have to nourish ourselves. But it's important to stop and take time and to really break that habitual mindset of eating as a constant chore. So there's ways, and we'll get to the actionable section on how to make that less of a chore.
Sure.
But it starts with the awareness of when we treat our food like a chore, it's our body is receiving it like a chore. We're not being as nourished by it as what we could.
Yes.
When we're receiving it as a chore, we're not receiving that satiation. And we're not receiving that satisfaction.
And so you mentioned Michelin star versus fast food. So what about the quality of what we're putting into our body? So
100% different.
Right.
I mean, when you have, you know, things that are bleached and pressed and packaged and frozen, that's completely different than somebody that's going through and literally hand picking, looking at the color, feeling. I mean, the idea that you're receiving information, satiation starts, you know, with your hands, with your eyes. It's not
all the
just in your
senses.
mouth.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
So the idea of touching things and the experience around you, making it three-dimensional and fleshing it out. But the quality of
Right.
ingredients is definitely worlds apart.
What else?
The other thing I want to talk about with mindset is the quality of food. So we think about seasonal menus and quality, not in terms of high quality or low quality, but the ways in which we experience them. So for Korea is great for this. And, you know, being an American, I didn't really have this relationship. You just kind of eat whatever's in front of you and you don't have seasons really.
Yes.
Everything's always in season because we get it from around the world. But I was so excited because I just had my first kongguksu of the season last week. I go, yes,
so good.
It's finally kongguksu season, but that means, you know, summer's here, it's hot, you're having this amazing iced dish.
I had bifam the other day. That was it's like summer's here.
Exactly, and you have this idea of things changing and moving with it, and how that amazing experience of being cooled by your food in this hot environment.
Yes.
And so thinking about quality in that way. So when it's really hot out, we don't want something that's going to heat us more.
Sure.
Right? We notice that we do this with teas. Like certain teas are more energizing, certain teas are more calming. I mean, it's the same thing in broad strokes for all food.
Right.
So when we think about, I'm really, really worked up right now, you don't want to eat, you know, things that are spicy. You don't want to eat things, you know, in yoga, they consider meat to be a substance of aggression. It's something that energizes you. It's like a warrior's meal, right?
Okay.
It gets you ready to go out and do action.
Okay.
And so in that way, if you are very, very elevated, you want things that bring you down. And so looking at the qualities of food in that way. So again, not in terms of good or bad, not in terms of I crave this or I don't want this, but what do I need in my circumstance?
Got it. Okay.
And then also fleshing that out a little bit more, needs versus want.
Need versus want.
I want coffee all the time.
Like right now. I need some.
And then I finally realized that, you know, caffeine is very, very aggravating to me. It really actually was starting to give me kind of existential dread. It was like sending me into these thought spirals.
How many cups were you drinking?
Just one. I'm just incredibly sensitive to caffeine, but I didn't acknowledge the sensitivity. I thought like, I just am having all of this dread all the time from
me,
7 to 10.
Really, from 7 to 10. For me, my rule is I don't drink any coffee or caffeine after 1 or 2 p.m. That's it. Because I know it's going to affect me into the night, and then that turns into pattern to the next morning.
Exactly.
I just can't do it. Just so it's in the AM, 1 maximum. Right.
And so it's that recognition, and again, think about when you're 20-something, you're just like a zombie, and you know you're just trying to get something to get you through.
Right.
But you know, recognizing what you need versus what you want is a huge part of that.
Yes.
Also think about, you know, I did this in high school. Like, I'm late for school. You grab some fast food, and then you have to go and study. I mean, going back to the qualities of food, fast food, oily food, it's very, very heavy.
Yes.
And so it kind of brings you down. So I want to get us to an actionable things that we can do.
Yes. What can we do?
Very quickly.
Yes.
Chew your food.
How long?
At least 32 grinds. That's what my yoga teacher told me.
32, that's so specific. So every bite,
At
or like
least
thinking,
32.
But if you
exactly
32.
And I did it as a kind of an experiment,
just to see,
and it's just, maybe 32. I'm sure he has some crazy philosophical reason, but it slows you down. And if you think about eating a piece of candy, it's gone like that. It dissolves, so you can't, you're thinking about like how things are going to metabolize.
Yes.
Another thing, no screens. Because of what we talked about last time when we're exercising and we're pulling ourselves away.
Yes.
Bringing yourself back into really paying attention. What is the temperature? How is it going into my body? Am I chewing enough? Do I, want more of this, less of this, whatever?
That one I don't have a problem with because that's my, my rule at the dinner table. No screens of any kind.
Great.
Whether you're eating by yourself or with others, I just say, hey, if you're going to eat by yourself, still
be with
concentrate on the food.
Yeah, but that's if you look around, even at nice restaurants.
But that's not true. Yeah, everybody else is. Yeah, but
It's
that's my one
notorious.
rule. No phones.
That's
no
great.
screens.
You're way ahead of the curve with that.
Okay, yay, I'm doing something right finally. Yay.
And
Okay.
also preventing decision fatigue.
Oh, what is this?
So, if you have to think about all the time, what do I want to eat? What am I hungry for now? Set a schedule so you don't have to make a decision on when to eat. That's taking away that extra effort associated with eating.
Yes.
And also, if you have at least one meal where you're eating the same thing or you have a go-to.
So
meal. For me, in the morning, it's either, oatmeal or grinding it up into a smoothie if it's a hot situation versus a cold situation.
Sure.
So I don't have to think like first thing in the morning, I'm hungry. What do I... That's out of the question. I just go to it. I'm nourishing my body. I'm with it. And then I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yes. And any last, what about I like the last one. We got to do the last one.
Celebrate with treats rather than treat them as rewards. So, I was good today. I earned cake. That's a very, very different mindset than, we're all together and this is how we are marking this great celebration together. So it takes it out of that shame spiral of I earned it, I didn't earn it versus we are all together and this is the punctuation on the circumstance.
I like that mentality. I do. I'm going to try to incorporate that one, the last one, definitely.
Helps.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for telling about the toxicity out there and then kind of countering that with mindful eating. So we'll try to stick to that. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Look forward to, we're going to see Mindy in a few weeks again. Yes? One more week. Yes. All right. Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you.
Well, it's time to wrap up already. I wish we had more time. I wish I had time to say goodbye. Well, this is Falling by Harry Styles. So enjoy this one and join us again tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
I'm in my bed and you're not here, and there's no one to blame but the drink and my wandering hands. Forget what I said, it's not what I meant, and I can't take it back. I can't unpack the baggage left. What am I now? What am I now? What if I'm someone I don't want around? I'm falling again, I'm falling again, I'm falling. What if I'm down? What if I'm out? What if I'm someone you won't talk about? I'm falling again, I'm falling again, I'm falling. You said you cared, and you missed me too, and I'm well aware I write too many songs about you. The coffee's out at the Beachwood Cafe, and it kills